Hi everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. My name is Chelsea, for those of you who are new here, and I am documenting my prep for the Wasatch Warrior Show in Utah. It's coming up, we're 6 weeks out, and I'm really excited. I wanted to start off this video here in my house because I am about to eat some breakfast and then go and do 40 minutes of cardio. My cardio stayed the same this week. I'm at 4 times 40 minutes of steady state cardio. And all the steady state means is that my heart rate stays steady throughout the entire cardio session. We're shooting for 130 beats per minute. That's what my cardio prescription is from my coach. But I thought today's video would be more fun on the go. So I'm gonna take you to the gym with me. And then I think while I'm there, I'm gonna talk to you guys about some unpopular opinions. I saw this on Instagram the other day and I thought it would be fun to do my own version with context for why I think the way that I think about certain things. And this is specific to bodybuilding because you're watching my prep vlog series. But I wanted to kick off this topic with the idea that there's a difference between regimen and restriction. I'm going to unpack that a little bit later, but just some food for thought, and I'll talk to you in a few minutes. And for me, it's a few minutes, but for you, it's going to be in the next clip. So see you then. Okay, so what do I mean by regimen versus restriction? I've done 2 preps now, and I think that what I've observed in the bodybuilding space over the last 2.5 years is people seem to associate regimen with a restrictive mindset, and they're 2 completely different things. When I think of restriction, I think of a mindset where you look at your plate of food and you're like, wow, this is like not a lot of food. Or if you are on a meal plan, or if you've given yourself a meal plan and you're like, oh, well, I have to eat that tilapia. I can't have any other source of protein. And I've even noticed this with like beverages, and I thought this was appropriate to start because I have a latte with oat milk and blackberry syrup every day. And I've noticed that people are starting to demonize like nut milks in their coffee. And I think for me, my latte is part of my day. It's part of my morning routine. And that is more of a regimen because I get up and I brush my teeth and I get dressed. Sometimes I'll take a shower first, depending on how I'm feeling that day. And I'll come downstairs, make my latte, make my breakfast, get all my food from the fridge that I've prepped the night before. Like that routine, that regimen of getting up, doing a specific collection of things, and then going to the gym, for instance. That is a really important part of prep, in my opinion, because it's the type of structure that you need to be consistent. But if I was sitting here thinking about like, oh, I have so much cardio to do, and I know that my breakfast right after is going to be so small, and I'm just so, like, why am I doing this type of thing? That sort of mental skew to the negative is the distinction between a regimen or a structure and restriction. And this is all just like my opinion, but I don't know. I was thinking about this when I was watching a video earlier this morning, because I don't think that adding nut milk to your coffee is a bad thing. If you can tolerate it with your digestion, who cares? Just track it. And I don't know if it's because people are scared of certain ingredients that are in these milks. I know some of them use like a gum addition as a binder. And a lot of people on the internet tout, like, if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. But a lot of these compounds are used for preservation or just the way that it has to be stored. And it's not necessarily like a foreign chemical. And a lot of the antioxidant properties of some of the foods that you eat, especially if they're whole foods, those also have names that you can't pronounce, but they have health benefits instead of health detriments. So I just think that it's kind of the perspective that you're meeting things at or with that matter more than, oh, you know, this prep went way better than the last one because I didn't put 50 grams of almond milk in my coffee. I don't think that 50 grams or 50 milliliters of almond milk is going to be the deciding factor between whether or not you're ready to go on stage. As long as you're tracking what you're eating and you know that your digestion is good if you eat certain foods, I think that's really all that matters. And I guess this goes into my next point about like macro tracking. And I wrote this all down here this morning because I was writing. My personal opinion is that macro tracking while you're in a prep isn't a bad thing. I think that it allows us to have a certain freedom within the construct of your calories are going down, your carbs and your fats are usually going down. Protein is mainly the most constant thing. And I don't always see a benefit to a meal plan unless you're someone who needs someone else to tell you, like, this is what you'll eat. That way, if it minimizes your decision fatigue or whatever the case is. But I think meal plans in general should be cycled through just like you would cycle through food. If you are macro tracking and you put pumpkin in your lunch one day and then you're like, oh shit, I need to go to the grocery store, I have butternut squash instead. I think that making a substitution like that is completely appropriate for someone in prep. And if you like oat milk lattes and you want one in a day, I don't think that should be something that is taken out of your diet just because you're in a prep. I am in a nutrition program at my school. I have a bachelor's degree in nutrition, and all of the education that I have gathered for myself over the last several years is that restricting yourself to a certain 6 foods a day isn't going to help you with your micronutrient intake, and it's not going to help you with that diversity that you need to cultivate healthy bacteria in your gut. And a lot of times these meal plans for bodybuilders are really low in fiber. And I have a video on my channel about how important fiber is, and I probably should do an updated one now that I know more about the topic. But fiber is something that should not be slept on, and you should be eating whole foods primarily, especially when you're in a prep. But if you want to have a cookie, have a cookie. Just track it. And then if you decide, well, my macros are too low to have a cookie, then take it out of your day tomorrow and have some more filling foods like more oats in your breakfast or more spinach in your dinner. I just don't understand, and this is why I believe in macro tracking. I don't understand why the go-to mindset for a lot of coaches and a lot of people in prep is to restrict themselves to a certain number of foods because they think that is the best way that they'll get to stage. Because just as the training environment is nuanced, meaning the curation of your workout program isn't going to be the same for me as it is for you, I really believe that if you have a coach that's like, everyone is going to be on a meal plan, that's not going to work for everyone. And I think that it's important for you as the competitor to know if you're someone who needs that extra layer of structure, or if you can do a little bit of homework, and if you don't know what a whole food is, to find that out. And if you don't know the ingredient on a package, instead of saying, oh no, that's really bad for you, and then telling other people that it's bad for you without doing any research on it, look up the compound. Because a lot of times Google will tell you if it's naturally occurring or if it's, synthesized from something else. A lot of times, like even the supplements that we take, those are a synthesized version of the naturally occurring compound that's in your food. And I think that this is a perfect segue for me, because I am a nutrition student, like I mentioned, and I'm really passionate about sharing information that is kind of not necessarily hearsay, but just confusing for people, because nutrition itself is really confusing and it's really nuanced and very specific to the person. But I think it's important to know what sources of protein are, and what sources are primarily carbohydrates, and what sources are primarily fats. And I want to put together an ebook for each of the macronutrients, just as a way to have like an easily accessible thing for me and for you to take to the grocery store if you need to. But that's just something that's been like kind of in my mind. But I don't think that macro tracking should be demonized. I just think that if you're gonna do macro tracking, that it needs to be intentional. And I feel that way about prep too. I don't think you should do prep as a, oh, that looks really cool, I wanna do it. Because on the days where things get really difficult, and on the days when your food is super low and your cardio is really high, or you just woke up out of bed and were like, I don't wanna fucking do this today, that it's cool mentality isn't gonna carry you through those days. And a lot of times what I've noticed is that like it's cool mindset will be the excuse for you to not go to the gym that day, or to not do your cardio, or to skip tracking a meal and then say, oh, I'll just get back to it tomorrow. I think that this sport takes a lot of commitment. And if you're just doing this because you want to try it, like that's completely different. But I think that you should still start from a place where you know that you can have that cushion of calories to drop from, instead of just jumping right in and saying, oh, I want to do a prep, but I'm not really eating the way that I should to do one. Let's do it. Because you're putting yourself at a disadvantage and you're making it more challenging for your coach. So anyway, that was long-winded for the start of this video, but I'm gonna put together my breakfast and finish my latte and head to the gym for cardio. And then we'll talk about some other unpopular opinions, so stay tuned. I just thought of another unpopular opinion that I have while I was making my oats. But I think that hot lattes and hot beverages in general are superior to cold ones. Also, comment down below if you are an oatmeal for breakfast person, or if you are a like savory egg, rice, tortilla situation type of person, because I want to know. Okay, welcome to my car. I figured I would talk to you guys now. Actually, I don't even want to say. The next unpopular opinion that I have, and maybe it's not that unpopular, but I don't think that complicated is always better. Like, complicated does not equal better. And I mean that in your meals. I think simple ingredients and not a bunch of like, oh, I have to plan for this sauce or I have to plan for this combination of things. Like, I am a very big proponent of just throwing shit in a bowl and eating it. But also with your training, because I've noticed that there's like a lot of these really intricate movements that people do, and now they're coming out with these machines that are very specific to one part of a muscle group. And I think, I mean, if you're a really experienced bodybuilder, maybe you need something like that. But for the majority of people, I think just prioritizing compound movements and pushing yourself in the gym and giving yourself rest and the occasional hip abductor and whatnot, I think that's really all you need. I don't know. You can do a lot with dumbbells and a cable machine. I'll just put it that way. Okay, my camera was falling during that whole clip, but to go along with the complicated does not equal better situation, I think that it's very common for people to overthink everything when they're on prep. And I don't know, simple is just so much easier to be consistent with. And I'm talking simplicity with your meals, what time you get up, what time you go to bed, and your training. The more simple that you can keep things, the more able you are to stick to them and reach your goal. That's something that I learned after my first prep, because I didn't really have anything to compare anything to, really. So my expectations were just like doing the things that I needed to do. And I still have that expectation of myself now, but I have found it a little bit more challenging to avoid the overthinking aspect of everything. Like, did I do that workout to my best? And I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now. But anyway, simplicity is key. Welcome back to my car. You would have just seen a clip of me on the treadmill and then a little bit of my posing practice. I try to pose once a day, but if I'm not able to pose once a day, I at least try to do it 4 times a week because practice makes everything look better. And now I am on my way home. It's my husband's birthday today, so we are gonna go to the movies, and I wanted to make him some banana bread and put like a candle in it because we don't really like eat birthday cake or celebrate like that, but he really likes the banana bread that I made a couple weeks ago, so I'm gonna make some of that. And I figured while I'm in the car, I'll touch on a few rapid fire unpopular opinions. Lattes are 1000% worth the macros no matter what. And cookies are also worth the macros, but only up to a certain point. And I already mentioned the hot beverage thing. Oh, hip thrusts suck. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, but it's definitely an opinion. And I think that eating close to bedtime is this thing that's just really over complicated. Like, it's overrated to eat like 4 hours before bed or 2 hours before bed or whatever people say nowadays. I think as long as you're eating and you're digesting your food, I really don't think that there is a huge difference between eating at 6 and you go to bed at 9 or eating at 8 and you go to bed at 9. Your body's going to digest your food no matter what. And I think that was it. Those were the unpopular opinions for me. So if I didn't touch on any of the ones that you have heard, let me know in the comments down below. And I don't know if I'll show you guys anything else today. Let me think about it. Hi everyone, welcome back to my car. You would have seen a clip of me on the treadmill and a little bit of my posing practice. I try to practice posing once a day, and if I can't make it happen once every day, I'll do it 4 times a week because practicing posing is one of the most important aspects of the bikini category, in my opinion. Maybe that's an unpopular one, going with the theme of this video. I also think that lattes are worth the macros no matter where I'm at in prep, and I really do enjoy eating cookies while I'm on prep too, but those are a little more negotiable depending on how low my food actually is. And right now we're getting into that point of prep where I can't really justify eating a cookie and a latte, and so I'm going to choose a latte over a cookie. I don't know, are you guys latte fans? Do you drink them on prep? Or are you in the camp of you don't add nut milks to your coffee? I mean, don't get me wrong, I have really been enjoying cold brew lately, and I even put a splash of almond milk in that. But I think the common thread for me is if you eat or drink something, as long as you're tracking it and it doesn't mess up your stomach in any way, I think it's fine. Because, I don't know, I like the flexibility of being able to choose my own food. But I also understand that having a background in nutrition is really helpful because I still feel like I have the balance that I need in my diet to justify eating things like cookies. But I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with me. I think another unpopular opinion that I have is about eating before bed. I don't understand where people are getting this whole you can't eat within a certain time frame of going to sleep. Maybe my digestive system is just really robust and it can handle anything, but I don't really see a difference between eating 2 hours before bed and 30 minutes before bed. I don't think that it makes that huge of a difference because your body is going to digest the food at the rate that it digests food in general. But this all goes off of your own body. Like, all of what I'm saying, the reason why I think they're unpopular opinions is because I don't see the issue with a lot of these things. But that's also because I don't have a problem digesting many foods, and I am very grateful for that. That was the end of my written down unpopular opinions, but I'm curious to know what yours are, so put them down in the comments below. I almost forgot to give you guys my prep update for this week because we're 6 weeks out, and my protocols did change at the beginning of the week. So I'll go ahead and say that before I wrap up the video. My coach, on Monday, I had my check-ins, and she had dropped my carbs by 10 grams. And my team has coaches hour where on Tuesdays they have an office hours for coaches, and coaches have the option to bring photos of their athletes or questions that they've had from athletes that they need a second or third opinion on. And my coach brought my check-in photos to this coach's hour on Tuesday, and we got some really great feedback on my front pose, a little minor tweak there. And one of the other coaches said that my coach should get a little bit more aggressive, and my coach was like, all right, let's go. So she dropped my fats by 10 grams too. So this week was the first week post food drop that I have been really feeling the hunger. It hits me in the morning or the earlier parts of the day, and I'm still trying to figure out what frequency of eating will help with that, because I notice that the earlier that I start eating, the more hungry I am earlier in the day. But it's kind of challenging to not eat in the morning because I want to eat before I train and I want to eat after I train, and the way that it works for my schedule is getting up at 4 a.m. and getting all of that stuff in. So I think I'm going to try to switch around my strategy this week and eat my bigger meal before I train, and then sip on my latte throughout my training session, and maybe grab another cold brew for after, because I noticed that the cold brews curb my appetite a little bit more than my lattes do too. I have been a caffeine gremlin this prep, but I was a caffeine gremlin last prep too, and it's really not that different. So I am navigating the hunger and playing with my front pose, but it was really reassuring to hear from some of the coaches that I had met in my first show season that they've noticed the growth both in my posing but also in my body, because I can tell a difference, but it's nice to have that professional eye also confirming that too. So this is a great aspect of being on a team like Fit Body Fusion. I think they really prioritize their athletes. And now that I've gotten more serious with competing, I've definitely felt like my coach has met me where I'm at, and we're working together more to put together my best physically, mentally, the whole thing. So I'm feeling optimistic but hungry. And I'm trying to get more sleep, because I think part of the other reason why I was so hungry this week is because I had been waking up early and going to bed later. So prioritize your sleep. That is not an unpopular opinion. I don't care who you talk to in the fitness industry. Everyone is saying how important sleep is, and it's true. It's very important. So this week, my goal is to get back on my sleep schedule. It is spring break at school, so I think I'm still going to try to mirror what my schedule is like during the semester and prioritize going to lab, because I have a commitment there as well. And we will see what updates Jess has for me this coming Monday. I'm filming this video on a Saturday, so we're exactly 6 weeks out. And I like filming these videos on Saturdays because I have the whole day to film what I need to film, edit what I need to edit, and post it up for you guys here on YouTube. So I guess that brings me to the end of the video. If you liked this video, let me know. I really do want to know what your guys' unpopular opinions are. I think these are really fun topics to talk about. Even if not all of them are science-based, I think it's funny to hear people's preferences because we really are individual human beings, and I really appreciate that about people. So let me know. Like this video, subscribe to my channel. I would love to connect with more of you guys on here, especially, you know, throughout the rest of the year. I had gotten a question on my Instagram about how many shows I'm doing this year. And right now, the only one that I'm planning on doing is Wasatch Warrior in April. I have to wait on feedback from the judges at that show to see what our next plan of action is. I have a pretty strong feeling that I need to go back into another off season and grow some more, but that's because I am trying to be an IFBB pro and I can't do that with less muscle. So stay tuned. I think once we get feedback, I'll have a more clear direction. My husband and I found out that we have to move out of the house that we're living in now because the owners are selling. So we have to move in June when I was planning on going to Junior Nationals in Tennessee if I qualified for it at Wasatch Warrior. The other option is to do another local show, but I just have to talk to my husband about it because I really don't want to be in a prep while we're trying to move because that is just too much stress, especially with the end of the school semester coming up. I had mentioned in my last video that in hindsight, I probably should have waited to prep until I adjusted fully to the PhD program, but you know, we're doing it and we're making it work. I prepped through really hard stuff in 2022 as well, and I think that I've gained a lot of perspective since then, and I was able to make changes a lot quicker to my mental state and how I was doing things. So if something's important, I make it a priority, and my priorities were kind of skewed at the beginning of this year, but I really do feel like I have a better handle on things. So I'm feeling good. Anyway, I did one of those like Midwestern goodbyes where I said I was going to say goodbye and then talked for another 10 minutes. So I'm going to actually say goodbye to you here. Thank you for tuning in to the 6 weeks out vlog, and I'll see you next week for another update. See you soon.